And that is the lovely Shamika Copeland. Dan Rivers, thank you very much for being along here. And part two of this hour here. And Dennis Oler is on our Newsmaker line, and he became a below-the-knee amputee at 24. He was in an automobile accident, and he was determined to resume his athletic career. And he qualified for the 1988 Para Track and Field Team, the Paralympics, in Seoul, Korea. He set a world record for the 100-meter event in 11.73 seconds and won gold medals in the 200 and 400-meter events. Our other guest is Todd Schaffhauser, and he became an above-the-knee amputee at the age of 15 as a result of cancer. And he was determined to regain an active lifestyle. He pursued competitive athletics for the first time in his life. And Todd qualified for the Paralympics track and field team and won a gold medal by competing in the 100-meter event in the time of 15.77 seconds. And why do I tell you all this? Because I happened to meet both these guys yesterday, and I was so impressed that I wanted to share the story with you. And first, Dennis is here. Hi, Dennis. Good morning.
Hey, Dan. How are you?
Thank you very much. Let's see if I got Joe. You there, too?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Joe. Nice to talk to you. And Joe is from Beagley. And Todd Schaffhauser. And I'll start with you, Todd. Todd, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Thank you very much. So, Todd, you have been living as an amputee since 15 years of age, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So is that a lot of changing of prosthetics over the years? These things have to grow with you, right?
Absolutely. Prosthetics has changed a lot in the last, 30 years. A lot of technology changes. One of the only benefits from war sometimes is the research that goes into some of the technology fields, and prosthetics is one of those fields that has benefited from that.
Mm-hmm. And Dennis, it was more you at 24, so you have been living with us for how many years now?
Yeah, just about 30.
30 years,
yep.
Okay. And getting along, and you loved track and field prior to your injury, right?
Actually, believe it or not, no.
No?
No. Actually, my accident happened. I was 3 weeks away from signing a contract to actually play soccer professionally on Long Island. And, I got out to push a car off to the side of the road and got hit from behind, and that was the result, was the amputation of my right leg below the knee.
Mm.
And I was fortunate. That 3 months after the accident, on crutches, not having a leg yet, a friend of mine dragged me out to the Paralympics. They happened to be in New York on Long Island, and I saw guys sprint around the track, and that single moment in time changed my life. I realized one day I would walk, one day I'd be a competitive athlete, and that was so. Like as I said, Todd and I met at our first competition together. It was 1986. He had just come off his last bout of chemotherapy and was looking for, an outlet as far as trying to get his life back together again. And I just stumbled upon the Paralympics, and we competed in our first competition in 1986. And then, believe it or not, Dan, we actually grew up one town away from each other, didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was actually driving me to the airport to go down to Nashville, Tennessee. And I was asked by a nurse in New York City if I could pick somebody up that lived on Long Island. I was like, Patty, Long Island's a Long Island. It's
Exactly.
126 miles long.
Yeah.
And it just so happened to be the next town over, and that was when we had our first competition, started training together, and then 2 years after that in Seoul, Korea, became the fastest leg empty sprinters in the world.
Wow. It's interesting that you have almost resumed your life, would you say, as normally as possible without that limb?
Oh, there's no question about that. I mean, come on. I mean, I run faster still to this day than probably 98% of the people out there with both their legs.
Yeah. And Todd, do you feel the same way that you've resumed almost everything in your life that you had before?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something that you can't kind of see that light at the end of the tunnel when the amputation first happens.
Mm-hmm.
You think that you're never going to walk again, you're never going to do any kind of athletic activities. I never heard about the Paralympics at that point. So it was something that was, non-existent to me at all, disabled sports in any kind of way. So it's something that, you just don't know because you haven't seen it before.
So you guys, you'd established these centers and you called them CareRight, right?
Well, CareRight, we're a national company that is a skilled nursing facility that has rehab. And so we have our two facilities in Youngstown, which is Oasis and Beagley. And what we've done was we've created when we first started our career, we were doing running clinics all over the world. And we were teaching amputees to learn to run because in Todd's race, it was a straight final. There was only 4 people. And so we had a career as professional amputee sprinters. Talk about irony. Had I signed that contract to play soccer professionally, my career would have lasted 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Todd and I had a career over a decade as professional amputee sprinters doing running clinics. But what we were seeing was there was a vast majority of the people that we work with today, our moms, dads, grandmothers, and grandfathers, losing limbs to diabetes, coming out to our running clinics because unfortunately we don't get enough rehab just because of the way the healthcare environment is. So we were fortunate enough to come together with CareRight in December to launch this program to bring everything in-house into our skilled nursing facilities to really have a true long-term program that supports our amputees long-term. So what we've done was we're accredited nationally. We just got our accreditation in Ohio to offer CEU credits to physical therapists. So basically what we've done is we've trained all our staff, all our physical therapists in 3 hours of didactics, of techniques to help amputees really learn how to control their leg. And so we have a whole mentoring program that we do for our clients that come into Oasis in Begley, that we speak with the family to let them know what the future is going to be like, because so many folks don't know. You have somebody who's 75, 80 years old who loses a leg thinking their life is over. You know, the oldest person, Dan, we actually worked with was 101 and a half.
That's interesting because I was thinking, okay, I'm doing this program here with you guys, and people think, well, I'm training sprinters.
No,
but these guys
opposite.
just happen to be amputees that can sprint. But this, to the larger community, we have people that are losing limbs because of diabetes and automobile accidents and cancer and other things like that.
Correct.
And you're saying that the process that you have makes it not a dead end.
Absolutely
that you can really come back. Now, why isn't this being done in the hospitals now? You guys are bringing this to Begley and Oasis. Why? I'm sure some of it is being done in hospitals and other places. But
some of it is, but there's only so much that the hospital can actually do. You know, the surgeries take place at the hospital. Then they have is the initial rehab. But if you look at because of our healthcare system, just the way that it is, you know, if somebody has a hip replacement or a knee replacement, they're out of the hospital within a day, which is unheard of if you think about it. But that's the reality of the situation. So the stay at the hospital level is becoming less and less, and it also has to do with the fact of the care that happens at that level is so good that the preparation for what that person needs to transfer on is happening. And then at that level of the skilled nursing, or sometimes even the acute level hospitals, is where the person will stay the most. And for us, in doing what we've been doing for the last 28 years, that's what we've seen is that when someone comes to our facility, you know, because they are Medicare patients or Medicaid patients sometimes, they get to stay at our facility for a longer period of time, and that's where they need the most help.
What is the numbers? I mean, how many people are we talking to, like in a metropolitan area of 500,000 where we are here in the two-county area? What's the percentage of people, or how common is it that someone would need a limb replacement?
Well, I can't give you a specific. I can give you a demographic that was just said just recently on the news of a piece that we just did to you guys. But there's 500 new amputations every single day in the United States. Now, obviously, different demographic areas are going to be different. So for the Youngstown area, I can't really give you a number. I do know that we've had a number of amputees over the past couple months. We've had 6 or 7 that have come through in both our facilities, and it's made a significant difference in their lives to be able to see Todd and I, speak with us, have the opportunity to look forward to.
What are not to interrupt, but what are some of the things that you do when you see an amputee and you're teaching them how to use the limb, but you're teaching them exercise? What is the idea?
At first, Dan, it's not even teaching them how to use a limb because they haven't gotten it yet because they're such slow healers.
Okay.
More to the emotional support is really who Todd and I are. You know, with working with over 20,000 amputees all over the world, you know, we share stories with these folks of people that, you know, are far worse off than these folks that are coming into our facilities who turned their lives around and made it and actually got their lives back together again. So the first part of the program is the emotional support that we offer everyone that comes through our facilities. We're on the phone all the time with folks. And then the second part of that is the fact that they're going to get excellent training from our staff in both Beagley and Oasis for, all these didactical hours that we've trained our folks of well over 20,000 amputees and 75,000 therapists.
Didactical?
Yeah, didactical. The techniques.
The techniques. Okay.
The techniques.
All right, got it. Now, when you're
that word?
Yeah. I think I got it better now. I wasn't familiar with that word here.
I think it's a word.
Yeah, but when you think about the people that are coming through here, and this is a big change in their life, and a lot of people are very emotionally distraught, right? Because
Absolutely.
You go back here and you say, "Oh my God, I've lost a leg." But what is it? Is it the leg? These prosthetics so good now that they actually mimic the limb?
Well, they can help to really, bring you back to the lifestyle that you had before. So that's something where, people find it, like I was saying earlier, they find that hard to believe that. But you also have to look at it from this point of view is that, someone, and we're always, when we go in to speak to somebody, we never tell someone that they should have an amputation. That's something that they have to come through and understand and decide for themselves, them and their family. However, a lot of cases, like when we're working with some hospitals that have a limb salvage center, we have patients that have been trying to save a limb for years. And the reality of the situation is that if they have the amputation, sometimes they are going to become more functional.
Yeah, they give a better lifestyle than trying to come back and have something that they can't use anyway.
Right, exactly.
And that's hard to believe. I mean, I was faced with that. Dennis was faced with that, going back our situations in the mid-'80s. But even today, the techniques to try for limb salvage are so good. But still, at some point, for some people, it gets to the point where they have to make that decision.
Yeah, let me go over to Joe here for a minute here. Joe Scarcella has joined us here on 570 WKBN also. And there is Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hello, Dan.
Hey, Joe. What are you guys doing over at Beagley now here that you've brought? I happened to meet these guys here in Beagley yesterday, but why Beagley? And why Oasis, and what are you guys doing differently that hasn't been offered in the area before?
The CareRight family, the communities that we have, fortunately, CareRight was able to work with Beagley and Oasis. Basically what we're doing is we're just bringing this program to the hospitals and to the community, and it's something that kind of sets things apart. It's something that's kind of unique to the area. There are some hospitals that, like the VA hospital, that actually has some programs, but I think what happens here is that Dennis and Todd are actually bringing a personalized component to it. Not only from the rehabilitation stand that Oasis and Beagley can provide, but you're also getting a holistic, actually, approach where they're able to kind of talk people through even prior to having the amputation, and then kind of just walking them, no pun, through the entire process. The one thing that's great about the walking school, and I know Dennis says this all the time. He's like, people never really graduate from the walking school. It's kind of an ongoing thing, and the support that builds. Mm-hmm. I know that with the many places that they've actually done this program, you just have like a continual support system. So I
want to get the specific. That is really nice. You have that support system and these guys coming down. But the specifics, Joe, you have people that are going to the hospitals having the amputation, and then they're being discharged rather quickly, and then they come back to a place like Beagley or Oasis, and they end up getting the care that they need, and then learning how to use their new limb when it does come in. But you're saying that that's not widely available, and you sometimes don't get that. That isn't the approach that we have taken on amputation in the past.
And I believe that I know that with certain hospitals, they do have the therapist to be able to do that. And the one thing that's great about this is Todd and Dennis were actually able to do in-servicing for the therapists that were in our hospitals locally. Mm-hmm. So they're getting an idea, and I guess from having a continuum of care going from the hospital to either Beagley or Oasis, that's what we're really trying to kind of...
So are you guys up and running now, and people that may be listening, they could contact Beagley or Oasis?
Absolutely.
All right, what's the best way?
The best way is if they can go to www.carerightcenters.com, and you can follow the link. It'll actually direct you to Beagley Oaks or CareRight, or Oasis, rather. And then, or you could actually call the facilities directly. Oasis is actually 330-788-3038. And then if you wanted to talk to Beagley Oaks, you could talk to, the number would be 330-884-2300. And if you talk to the admissions coordinator, either Emily at Beagley or Gretchen at Oasis, they would be more than happy to kind of make arrangements. We're going to be setting up some times here in the future for the walking school. We usually hold that usually the first Monday of the month. Dennis and Todd would be in, and we can make those arrangements for people to even just come, kind of see what's going on. And then, at all times, I mean, even if there's somebody in the hospital, if they ask about the facility, I could actually come to the hospital and actually kind of connect them with Todd and Dennis.
I didn't know that you needed this. I thought, well, the hospitals took care of all this, but maybe not. I'm going to just talk to these guys here for a second here. Sure. Put you back here, Joe, on. Can I put Joe on hold there? I think I can. All right, there's Joe on hold. Let's see, Todd in line number. Todd, will you be back in Youngstown in the near future? You guys going to make regular visits here or what?
Yes, we're going to be coming in every month.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to be hosting programs and hosting some courses and doing some training in the community. The one thing that's great about the walk-in school, too, is that it's open to the community. So some of the patients that are not at our facilities, they might be sitting at home right now.
Yeah.
And they might be having a difficult time.
Yeah.
They can be able to come to the program, and we can be able to try to help them and direct them to help, in the community that they might not even know about.
Yeah.
Really important, Dan, that, what we do as a group, Care Right, is we are very, very supportive of the community. And so that was one of the things that we spoke about before we came together, was being able to open up this program to the community so amputees at our home have the ability, because a lot of our folks are on fixed incomes and can't even afford to get outpatient rehab because they can't afford the copays. So at least they have an opportunity on a monthly basis to come see us and work on techniques and go home and do homework. We give folks to go home and do homework. So it's kind of it is an ongoing support system.
Well, you're kind of teaching on how they do it. Is the prosthetics and all the care you get typically covered by Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare, also by your regular insurance?
For the most part.
Okay.
For the most part. It's drastically changing, so, and it falls under durable medical equipment, and unfortunately that's something that is a sad fact.
Well, listen, we're kind of at the end of our time, and I know you guys are in Pittsburgh today and doing some teaching there. Todd Schaffhauser became the fastest above-the-knee amputee in the world in the 100-meter time. Dennis Oler became the fastest below-the-knee amputee sprinter in the world, and these guys showing that it can be done. And I'm going to put you guys right here, and let's see, put you over here, and say, Joe, thank you for setting this up, man.
Hey, no problem. Thank you very much, Dan.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Good luck over at Oasis and good luck over at Beagley, because, boy, you can give people back the ability to function as they once did, or maybe even better sometimes. That is a fantastic thing, isn't it?
It is very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye now.
All right. That is folks over there. It's maybe something that is involving your family, and maybe we give you some good information. But the information is Care Right, and you can find them at Beagley or at the Oasis Center. Care Right Centers. Check them out. Get them online, and we'll keep up with them from time to time, doing good work. Dan Rivers, back in a minute.